Welcome, idiots, and also slightly less idiotic people. Also, welcome tonight. I don't know which category you put yourself in, but either way, we are happy to have you here on State of the Tigers with Power Mizzou on Monday night. I am Gabe DeArmond. Cody Goodwin be along in a second. Drew King later in the show. We'll talk all things Mizzou. Before we do that, we try to sell you some insurance every Monday with James Carlton, our friend in Webster Groves, Missouri. I got a text from James today. I actually had a referral from our fine YouTube channel and program here earlier this morning. So if that was you, we appreciate it. If that was not you, you should do the same thing. CarltonInsurance.net. You can give James a call at 314 961 4800. He's going to offer to save you some money. If you don't like saving money, he's at least going to talk Mizzou sports and, be nice to you. And everybody needs somebody to be nice to him at some point during their day. So give James a call. We bring Cody on the screen. He might be nice to you. I probably won't over the next 40 minutes or so. Cody, we're just going to start here, man. The time to panic. Like, are the people right? Can they freak out? It is Monday, January 12th, 7:01 p.m. The portal is open for 100 more hours, I believe.
Well, 100 more hours for the schools that did not make, I believe, the college football playoff semifinals. So
Correct.
I think those teams have until the 24th, I believe, to fully fire the paperwork and get in.
The national title game will have until the 24th. The semifinals,
Okay.
you have 5 days from whenever that was. So they have to still be in by the 16th, I think. Yeah.
Okay. So there's still some time that we will see other players enter the portal. Is it time to panic though? If you're Mizzou, I don't think it's time to panic. But if you're nervous, I understand, because there are still some major holes on this roster that have not been addressed yet. And we are basically through the second Monday of week 2. I know that portal decisions will be made really through the end of the month. So there still is time. But in terms of options, oh man, like again, maybe not panic just yet, but if you're nervous, I get it. I feel you.
That's kind of where I'm at. It is too early to panic. And there are a few reasons. First of all, I say again, Cody and Sean and I do not know everything going on. Matt Zenitz and Pete Nakos and these guys do not know everything going on. Just because something hasn't been on social media or on our message board does not mean it's not happening. But I also understand if you are looking at this and saying, we lost a lot and I'm not sure we've replaced it quite yet. So yeah, panic is too soon. You can't panic until we see everybody that's out there. And like, I think there are teams who are spending ridiculous amounts of money. I don't think Missouri is necessarily one of them. Indiana, Texas Tech, Texas, and Ohio State are kind of getting what they want out of this portal cycle, and probably LSU. Those are probably going to end up being your top 5 teams. And like when James Smith and Quarusa go to Ohio State, that's a battle. Like, yeah, it sucks, but hey, I don't think that should necessarily surprise you. But I understand Missouri fans going, yeah, but I want to win some battle. Somewhere along the line, I want to win one of these battles. And that's understandable. You can't win them all, but I do think the goal should be to win a couple.
Yeah, I think that's a reasonable expectation, especially given the success that Missouri has had in the portal. Like I guess you would probably know better than me, but like, was it a heated race for Ahmad Hardy? Was it a heated race for Josiah Trotter? Was it a heated race for it was a heated race for Damon Wilson, right? So like, there's a little bit of a history there of finding these high impact guys in the portal for Mizzou, like over the last few years. I mean, especially throughout Drinkwood's tenure. You look at the guys that they have nailed down so far, and they're fine, but I think there's not really that big splash yet. There's not really that big, like, high impact, like, who's the crown jewel of this transfer class? I'm not sure we've seen it yet, or if it's one of the current 14 that have committed. That's why I understand why people might be a little bit worried about at least where Missouri's at the moment.
Right. And let me say, again, there are 4 days left. So let's start here. There are 4 days left to enter the portal. I have a theory that there might be some guys out there that are going to enter the portal, but like they're high end enough players that they don't have to do it yet, that they can kind of wait till Thursday or Friday and probably already know where they're going. And they just make their announcement later, and the current school, like that way, doesn't have 2 weeks to get them back or whatever. It's a little bit, I understand that is a little bit galaxy brain. Like it's like the coaching search where you go, yeah, I know the 3 G5 guys have been reported, but like, I've got this theory that Nick Saban took a vacation to Chapel Hill one time and he really liked it and his wife wants to move here. So we've got a big surprise. And the big surprise usually doesn't happen. So this may be a theory that makes no sense. I'm just throwing it out there as a possibility.
It's entirely possible, right? Like there's still coach to agent, agent to GM, recruiting director, whatever schools have kind of in line as that GM role, that player personnel role. Like those conversations are still happening, right? So like there are like you said at the beginning or near the top, right? Like we don't know everything. The insiders probably know more than we do, but they still may not know everything, right? Or like they're being they might be privy to information that maybe can't be released yet, just because of maybe the insider agent relationship there. So could there be things in the work on the back end? Yes. Also, it's kind of like, all right, like that's at some point you got to see it, right? Because at this point, the longer you go while you wait to maybe see that big splash or these big crown jewel transfer additions, like nervousness is going to give way to panic. And at some point, like Missouri fans are going to be right to kind of look at this roster, look at the potential projected depth chart that we're going to do when this thing is over. And they're going to be like, okay, that's what we're dealing with here, right? And then you're really banking a lot on the coaching staff. You're banking a lot on some of these players maybe taking huge jumps. You may still be banking on that for some of these positions, regardless of how the portal window ends up. And, Mizzou may still end up with a couple of big splashes here near the end, but yeah, man, there's still some really big holes that they got to fill over this last week.
I have always said, in the absence of information, sports fans generally assume the worst. So because we don't know if, there are some of these big fish out there or visiting or on the hook. And I understand all we can go on is what has happened so far. And I do understand nerves about what has happened so far. Again, too soon to panic, but like, I want to do this. The 24/7 portal rankings. Missouri right now is 20th. I just want to kind of run through the teams that are above them. LSU, look, they have a new coach, the hottest coach in the country, and 24 commitments. That's not a surprise. Texas is spending billions. That's not a surprise. Penn State has 32 transfers because they have a new coach. That's not a surprise. Oklahoma State has taken 44 transfers. I don't care if any of them are even good. They're going to end up ranked in the top 10. Ole Miss, 13 commits, new coach, but like, okay, I think that's a school Missouri fans are going to look at and go, we should be in the Ole Miss neighborhood. Kentucky, new coach. A&M, billions of dollars. Texas Tech, billions of dollars. Indiana, billions of dollars. Now we start getting to the Arizona State, 20 commitments, Louisville 25, Auburn 24. I think Missouri would like to see themselves get up to probably the top 10 type range. And right now they're 20. So that's where you need to get. And they're going to add 10 more guys. So that's going to be a big part of it.
Yeah. And I think there's still time. Like that's the beauty of the portal thing. Like the door may close on the 16th for everybody that's not Indiana and Miami. And then Indiana and Miami, I think, will have until the 24th, I think, to get their guys into the portal, or the guys that'll want to leave these championship rosters. And we've already seen a few guys leave these championship rosters, right? Like Missouri picked up Donta Simpson, the defensive lineman from Miami, right? And he really hasn't played in this playoff, but like he left a playoff roster. And so some guys have done that. I anticipate more probably will off of both of those rosters. And I'm sure that there are guys from Ole Miss and Oregon that are contemplating getting in the portal. Some of them that jumped in over the weekend, and even it kind of lingered into today, that more guys off those rosters are getting in. So like there will be other options from really, really good college football rosters that'll become available. It's, they need to get in by the 16th. Indiana, Miami need to get in by the 24th. And then really, like, that's why I keep saying, like, this is going to be a month-long thing. Like, buckle in for the entire month of January in terms of Mizzou, chasing after guys, trying to add guys through the transfer portal, because like once they're in, and then it's kind of on Mizzou to get them, into Columbia at that point. And so, I will give Mizzou this, like, there's reason to be nervous because they really haven't landed a ton of these big fish, but they have been getting some good players to campus, including a lot of good players that you and I kind of thought that maybe they would get to commit, because Drinkwitz has a pretty good hit rate. If he can get these guys to Mizzou, get them to campus, get them to see the facilities, and get them in front of the coaching staff, he's got a pretty good hit rate of landing some commitments. And some players have gone and left and still haven't committed yet. And so you wonder if maybe some of those guys will circle back and Mizzou will be able to get a second swing at some of those guys, just maybe based on conversations as opposed to maybe actually getting them back into town. But yeah, like this is going to be a month-long thing, and Missouri still has holes to fill, but it is January 12th, but it is only January 12th. Like there is still a little bit of time to plug some of these holes that they have.
Yeah, I mean, like this thing looks different if Wendell Gregory and Samuel Okunlola and some cornerback that we don't know was in town suddenly commit tomorrow, right? And that is a possibility. So that's why we're saying we understand the reaction. But yes, it is still too soon to panic. The other point I would make is, look, I think, best offensive players for next year. Ahmad Hardy retained. Caden Green retained. Jamal Roberts retained. Donovan Olubide retained. Brett Norfleet retained. Austin Simmons acquired on the first day of the portal. Now, I understand people have differing opinions of whether Austin Simmons is there, but that's your starting quarterback. I mean, whatever. You got him day one of the portal. He's in that group. I think offensively, things are – I think Missouri fans would like to see a number 1 or 2 receiver, and I agree with that because they have a lot of guys at receiver. But, I don't know if – Donovan Olubide is like a true number 1, like threatening 1,000 yards next year, especially if there's not a little more around it. I think you'd like to see one more receiver, and I personally would like to see one interior lineman that, if he's not a guaranteed starter, he at least pushes that Dom G, Tristan Wilson, Curtis Piegler, Luke Work group, and he's in the mix to start.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing either of those things, especially like a receiver that's got like a pretty good history of production, right? Like, because I think if the season were to start today, right, your starting receivers are probably Donovan Olubide, Caleb Goody, and then probably Horatio Fields. Yeah, like those are probably your starting 3 receivers. And I think you feel pretty good about Olubide. I think you feel pretty good about Goody. Fields, I understand why there might be some hesitation there because there's a history of injury. He really only has one good season under his belt, and it was at Wake Forest in the ACC. And $100 to the guy that can name their quarterback without Googling that. So, like I would like to see another good, receiver, because if this is the receiver room you're rolling with, you're relying on a lot of younger guys, whether it's, Sean Terry, Demarion Folks, who flashed in small moments, especially Folks more so as a returner than even a receiver. And then also Nashawn Montgomery, the Florida transfer, like he really didn't get to play a ton. And then you've got a couple of big body 2026 signees. Who knows where they're at? Like they're going to have spring and summer and fall. That's great, but they're still freshmen, right? So it's just, you're relying on a lot of younger guys in the receiver room. So I think that's why another experienced, productive receiver would be really, really good for this room. I would take another interior guy. I think also, unless the staff feels really, really good about Jack Lang or Whit Hafer, I wouldn't mind another offensive tackle with some production, some experience. I starting caliber might be a little bit of a heavy ask just because there's really not a ton of those available, right? But you've got Caden Green, you've got Josh Atkins, who say what you want about the advanced analytics about maybe him being a little bit underwhelming at the position, but the dude has started 39 consecutive games. That's a lot of really good experience. So there's both sides of the coin there. I would like another tackle, unless the staff feels really, really good about Jack Lang and Whit Hafer. I would like another tackle to at least serve as the swing tackle and just be another dude in that room that really helps some of these younger guys come along.
Fair. And Sam in the chat is mentioning Nashawn Montgomery from Florida. Yeah, but I don't think that's a guy you're counting on being a starter next year. Maybe I'm wrong. And maybe he'll end up as one. I just don't think you count on it today. Okay, so now let's talk defense, because I know that's where your concerns are. That's where Missouri lost a ton. I wrote this morning, I think they need a minimum right now of a starting caliber defensive tackle, at least one, maybe two starting caliber defensive ends, and at least one, maybe two starting caliber cornerbacks. That is 5 potential starters out of, last I checked, there are 11. So that's where I think the concern is.
Yeah, no, I think I agree with that. Like, you need another you need another really experienced, productive interior piece there, because right now you've got Marquise Gracial, who I think is pretty good. I think he's primed to step into that starting role. But if that's, I mean, it's him and Jalen Marshall, and then you've got Elias Williams, Sam Williams, Jason Dow, like guys with high potential, but they're still
Dante Simpson.
Yeah, like they're still, Dante Simpson's a nice piece, but played what, I think just over 100 snaps this season. Yeah, so I mean, like he's, that's good experience, but I still think you want a guy that has played a lot more, that has produced a lot more, and so a starting caliber interior guy. I think when it comes to the defensive end group, I think I want both a defensive end and maybe a stand-up outside linebacker to play that jack position, right? Because right now at that position, unless somebody else moves into that role that maybe we just don't know about yet, or that's a decision they'll make in spring ball, you've got Darius Smith, and that's it.
Right.
Like that's where maybe the miss on, I hesitate to call it a miss, because who knows how the kids were actually feeling, but like Quay Rusaw and James Smith going to Ohio State, like that would have been 2 really big needs that would have filled for Mizzou, right? Because Quay can play that outside linebacker position. He can rush the passer. He's a freak athletically, so that would have been a really nice add. And then James Smith is a special athlete in the interior, so like that would have done wonders for Mizzou. Like you talk about a big splash, I think those 2 guys would have been a really big splash add. And so
some people in the chat are bringing up a couple kids from Oregon who entered the portal yesterday, who there is ties to. Toby Hastrup, the defensive end, and Tion Gray is the defensive tackle. Tion Gray was committed to Missouri for a few weeks before he flipped to Oregon. He's a St. Louis kid. Missouri finished second for Toby Hastrup. And, I think TCU was the other team in his final 3. So I posted last night, I fully expect Missouri to pursue those guys. Now, I think Gray would have a better chance to be a starter than Hastrup would. But again, this is, like, we're talking theoretical. They're not here yet. We don't know. They just entered the portal yesterday. Visits can't start till Thursday unless it's possible they just go in and they already know where they're going.
Yeah, there is a little bit of dead period here to start this week. So that's why if you don't hear a lot of visit news, that's why. I think those would be good ads, but I think those would be good ads from a depth perspective, as opposed to like really trying to go find that starter.
I think Tion Gray could start. He played 13 games for Oregon this year. I think he would. I'm not saying day one he's a starter, but I think he could start next year.
I think he would bring good experience to the room in terms of production. Yeah, we want to have the production versus potential.
How many guys are out there though with okay, James Smith? How many James Smiths are there in the transfer portal?
That's a fair argument. That's where a guy like Wendell. That's where a guy like Wendell Gregory would be a pretty big splash ad if Mizzou were to land him. And so far as I know, at least as of the recording right now, he hasn't announced where he's going yet. So like, I think those guys I think would be good ads to the room. But if you're looking for like that surefire immediate impact guy, like those guys have the potential to be that, but we don't know 100% sure that they're going to just walk in and be that dude, like that's where I'd be worried.
I don't know how many, again, I just don't know how many of those guys there are in the transfer portal. Where and not just a defensive tackle. I don't think there are that many anywhere that you're going, okay, problem solved. Boom. I know it day one. I just don't think there are that many guys like that.
There may not be. And maybe that's maybe we're going to have to readjust expectations for this Missouri defense, just given how it's come together. And of course, things could change over the next month, just given who else could potentially enter the portal by the end of this week, who all Missouri could end up adding. Like, there's still a lot of dominoes out there that could still fall in Mizzou's favor, but like right now, like if the season were to start tomorrow, you look at this defense and you nailed it. Like they're missing as many as 5 starters. And I think you could maybe get away with like one surefire starter at corner and maybe just kind of rely on some of the other guys that are in that room, because there's some talented athletes in that room. Nick Deloche has some starting experience. I'm not sure you want to go into spring ball with him being a designated starter, but him maybe being in the mix to start going into spring, you'd feel a little bit better about that. But it's also like you look at the cornerback market and, the couple of guys that Missouri brought in for visits last week, Carson Williams and AJ Harris, both those guys ended up committing to Indiana. So that's, where do you pivot to now, right? Like who's next up on the list that they're able to bring in? And so that's where it also gets hard. Like, it's not like Missouri is not taking swings at some big guys, highly coveted guys. It's just for some of the bigger fish, so to speak, they've lost out to some other schools for various reasons.
Yeah, and I'll say this. Eli Drinkwitz has earned the benefit of the doubt in the transfer portal. He's done a good job the last 3 years. I until proven otherwise, I think you have to give him the benefit of the doubt that he will do a good job. But I will also, on the flip side, say he's never had this much to replace, guys. They lost more this year than they've ever lost before. And not just guys. I mean, most of Missouri's transfers in the past have been going to G5, or like a lot of them haven't even found places to go. You are seeing Missouri transfers, Kentucky, Mississippi State, Wisconsin. They lost, Damon Wilson. Like, they have lost bigger pieces and more impact players this year than they've ever lost before, which means, okay, you've got to get more out of the portal than you did before.
Yeah, and that's a hard thing to do. That's a hard way to live. And Drink has done really well in the portal. I agree, he probably deserves the benefit of the doubt. But when you continue to kind of live by the portal, eventually you're probably going to suffer from the portal as well by not being able to fully restock the defense in the way that you probably wanted to going into the offseason. And so, again, a lot of things can change. I'm not saying it's time to panic, but if you're nervous, I understand why. Like, it's looking, I don't want to say it's looking bleak, but it's starting to look a little bit tougher in terms of how they're going to fill a lot of the holes on this defense.
Okay, so before we get to the questions and everybody's stuff in the chat, I want to talk about 2 former Missouri players. Where has Bo Perua not visited?
Yeah. Well, it looks like
he hasn't visited Missouri. I know that.
He hasn't visited Missouri. I think he learned a few things. I don't know that he's visited Kansas yet either. So give him the benefit of the doubt, I suppose. But he's going to visit more schools in the next, like, last couple weeks than like Drew will go to during this month of basketball coverage. Like, it's kind of ridiculous everywhere he's going. I think if you look at the most recent consensus online seems to be that Joey Aguilar is not going to land his medical waiver. So it seems like Bo might end up at Tennessee. Like, this dude may finally find a home, but TBD on that. Like, he could be taking another visit somewhere else tomorrow. So I guess maybe not tomorrow, but later this week.
He was at Virginia, and I think Virginia, but like I've had a bunch of questions, guys. It's obvious. Like, he's going all these places, and he's not finding a place that he's confident he's going to be a starter. It's not price tag. He wants to find a place he's going to be a starting quarterback. And like, he's going to these places that he goes to Washington and Damon Williams comes back. He goes to Nebraska and they apparently chose Anthony Calandria. Now, that may have had something to do with finances. I don't know. He goes to Virginia. Haven't heard anything about that yet. Goes to Georgia Tech. I don't know who Georgia Tech took, but it hasn't been Bo yet. So, man, if he ends up at Tennessee, I'm not sure how Tennessee fans feel about that.
If you search his name on Twitter X, they're probably not too thrilled about it.
Look, if you search anything and Tennessee on Twitter, it's terrible.
Yeah,
it is.
Vols fans can be a little volatile, but yeah, I mean, he's visited Tennessee, Georgia Tech, Washington, Virginia Tech. He did go to Nebraska. Man, like, I just
did he actually visit Virginia Tech?
I thought let me double check this. I thought he did. Honestly, I thought that made the most sense because he was just going to repair up with James Franklin. Like I was like, oh, that, but then James Franklin is pulling some of the Penn State quarterbacks that he recruited there to join him at Virginia Tech, right? Because it's, Iowa State's committing to Penn State, Penn State's committing to Virginia Tech. Everybody's just following their coaches. And so I don't know. Like that's I feel bad for the kid, but at the same time, it's like, dude, like you got to go compete at some point, right? Like, I don't know.
Yeah, well, and I feel bad for him too, but it's kind of telling to me if James Franklin's not taking him, that's the most telling thing to me.
I imagine the visits have gone very well until he gets into the room with the coaching staff and has to answer for what he put on tape. Like I'm sure that's not been a fun conversation at any of these visits for him.
Either that or they say, okay, here's the guy you're competing with for the starting quarterback job.
Yeah. That's the joke I keep putting in our group chat with like you, me, and Sean. Every time he's somewhere else visiting, I'm just like, he's scared to compete. Like just go compete, man. You got one more year. You're going to have to compete somewhere. You might as well do it.
All right. So the other guy I want to talk about real quick is Damon Wilson. It was out there on social media today. He's asking for more than $2 million. It was on our message board. He's asking for $3 million. I want to say I cannot promise either of those things are true. I'm just telling you what was put out there. I still kind of think before January 14th, which is a day and a half, I think there's a chance tomorrow we get a Damon Wilson declares for the NFL draft announcement.
I wouldn't be surprised. I don't know if that's the best decision for him, but it would be a decision. And
I don't either, but the best decision for these schools is not to pay that guy $2.5 million to play football.
I mean, somebody's going to pony up and pay him for a year of his services if he ultimately does not go into the draft. Crazy, and there's a timeline on that. But like we've seen schools pay crazy amounts of money for 1 year mercenaries. Like it wouldn't shock me at all if somebody ponied up I think the running number we've consistently seen is somewhere between $2.5 million. And that, I don't know that would surprise me. I don't know. The guy is a good pass rusher. He's also got some legal fees. I understand why he's probably asking for, he's really good. He's a really good pass rusher.
He's very good.
But we can debate how good of a total edge defender he really is, but he's a damn good pass rusher. And so, when it comes to importance on the field, like obviously the quarterback is the most important position on the field. The second most important position on the field is the guy that affects the quarterback, which is generally the edge rusher, right? Or somebody along the defensive line. And then, that's why those guys get paid the big bucks at the professional level. Would I pay him $2.5 million? What's the rest of how is the rest of my budget balanced? That's I would like the answer to that question before I answer that question. So
the only position I would pay $2.5 million is quarterback, unless I was one of these guys that it's just monopoly money, that I really don't care. The roster can cost $70 million and it doesn't bother me. Then sure, pay everybody $2.5 million. What the hell do I care? It's not my money. But okay, does he replace David Bailey at Texas Tech? Is that an even trade?
I think Bailey was a better overall edge defender, but I could see it.
That's my point.
I
think Bailey's better.
Yeah, and Tech's got that kind of money too, that they could just, let's go get a pass rusher. Notice I say pass rusher, not an edge defender. Let's go get a pass rusher for $2 million. If he ends up there, that wouldn't necessarily shock me. But it also wouldn't shock me if any school ponies up the money for him, or if, first thing Wednesday morning, he puts out a graphic that says, hey, I'm going to go chase my NFL dream. That's none of this would surprise me.
But just remember, there's a lawsuit out there that says he transferred for football reasons, Cody. He transferred for football reasons, not financial reasons. So whatever scheme he thinks he fits best. And look, good for Damon. Get the money. Again, he was cool to us in our dealings with him. I don't have a problem with Damon. He is a symbol of the ridiculousness of what's going on in college football for Missouri fans. All right, Billy, let's hit up the chat and let's get to everybody's questions, because we're going to have Drew here in 10 or 15 minutes talking basketball. Scott Fitz, appreciate the super chat, man. Looks like they're building a roster for 27 and not 26. Maybe I'm off, but the lack of 1 year guys or immediate starters is concerning. So, I mean, Eli Drinkwitz has been very clear. You build every year. they're not giving up on 26, especially when the 27 road schedule is South Carolina, LSU, Georgia, Oklahoma, A&M. Like, you're not building for that year. I think, and I wrote some about this in 10 Thoughts this morning, they lost 21 guys in the last 2 years who were in their first or second year on campus. Like, you have to replace those guys. Yes, you also have to go get some starters, but the problem is losing all those guys, and everybody wanted to pretend it didn't matter because they just went other places and didn't produce, whatever. We don't care if Kewan Lacey and Williams Nwaneri and Jalen Brown and all these guys want to leave. But what that creates is 2 full classes where, like, you don't have anything. So, like, your sophomore and junior classes this year are kind of bereft of a lot of guys. So you've got to go out and replace some of that, even if some of those guys aren't going to start right now, year one. Like, you've got to get guys in the program that play some this year and then hopefully start next year and are stars in year 3. And I understand everybody's going to say, well, what if those guys just leave? Well, then what if they do? I don't know. Then you go replace them again. But you can't just go into the season saying we're going to have 75 juniors and seniors and not worry about the 2 years after that.
Yeah, like that's where the additions like Jadon Blair, who's got all 4 years left, Nashawn Montgomery, who's got all 4 years left, Donta Simpson's got 3 years left, right? Jaden Jones has 2. Will Kemna, for coming in from K-State after redshirting, he's got all 4 years left. Luke Work has 2 years plus a redshirt, right? So if he's not able to get into the starting lineup this year, he could take a year to redshirt, really learn the system, and then take a step forward and maybe be part of the starting rotation next year when some of these guys leave. So there's a reason they go after guys with multiple years of eligibility, right? It's yes, they want to build a roster for 26 because every single year in college football now can be a go for it year if you tinker and build your roster properly. But you also do want to be looking ahead to the next year, right? Because I think we're all under the presumption. Let's use running back, for example. Ahmad Hardy, this is probably his last year of college football. Potentially Jamal Roberts' last year of college football as well. So now you've got, X-Man, because is it Zayshawn? Is that how you pronounce his name? Zayshawn?
That's how I would say it. I don't know for sure.
Right. So the Houston Christian running back who transferred in, right? FCS freshman All-American. Like, I'm sure part of the conversations of him coming to Missouri is like, look, you're going to be RB3 this season because we've got a Doak Walker finalist and, another SEC starter in the room currently, but they're probably going to be gone after 26. You're going to be the dude in 27. And so you're really going to have a year to play some, not a ton, get to know the system. And then you're going to be able to step into this system that has produced a lot of really good, productive running backs starting next year, right? So a lot of, like, I understand, like, you want to build and go and compete every single year, but there is an element of this roster building that is also for the future as well. And that's just, using X-Man and some of these other guys that still have 4 and 3 years of eligibility left. Like, those are just easy, quick examples. Like, there's a lot more up and down the roster.
Yeah, for sure. So again, like, it is the balance of, yes, it's a go for it year every year, but you can't just ignore the rest of the years. Like, you have to find a way to do both. Anthony Price, how do you feel about Drinkwitz going with potential over production at QB again? We'll see, guys. I think that I wrote this morning. I think that line, production over potential, I think he said it a little bit in the heat of the moment when Williams Nwaneri and Kewan Lacey and Jalen Brown and Courtney Crutchfield and a couple other guys had walked out the door. I think he said it not as a shot at those guys, but kind of as a little bit of, you don't want to be here, we didn't want you anyway. We'll go find a guy who has played at Louisiana who's going to be better than you. And largely he's done that. But I think now every time he takes a transfer, fans go, but he said production over potential and this guy hasn't played. It's not across the board, guys. It's not across the board. But at quarterback, he just has, I've said it for 2 years, he has to be right. He has to be right on Austin Simmons. If he's not right about Austin Simmons, this thing gets real interesting in a couple years.
I agree with that. And I think that particular line, like production over potential, really kind of blew up. And I'm guilty of this. I tweeted it during the game too, right? The Indiana-Oregon semifinal game last Friday. I think it was Sean McDonough on the broadcast was like, hey, Cignetti, when he goes into the portal or when he goes into recruiting, he talks about production over potential, right? And that's, my antenna went up when I heard McDonough say that. I'm sure a bunch of other Mizzou fans probably were like, oh, wow, that's what's going on here? And clearly it's worked out for Indiana the last 2 years, right? Like they've lost 2 of their last, 30 games or something like that. They're playing for a national championship in year 2 under Cignetti. They're doing incredible stuff over there in Bloomington that everybody in college football is going to try and replicate over the next 5, maybe 10 years now. So maybe they're not the best example, but like to hear another coach use a similar line, I understand why people then look at Drinkwitz, who has used that line before, and are like, well, that coach is doing it and he's playing for a national championship. What's going on over here? So like, I understand why that might rub people the wrong way.
And again, like Eli Drinkwitz tried to get the quarterback that Curt Cignetti got. He just didn't get it. I mean, that's the truth.
Well, and what did we just mention a little while ago, right? Like the 2 cornerbacks, Carson Williams and AJ Harris. Mizzou got both of those guys on campus. They also went to Bloomington, ended up committing to Indiana. So again, Drinkwitz is taking some pretty big swings over some for some highly coveted guys. Sometimes he gets them, sometimes he doesn't. That's the portal giveth, the portal taketh away sometimes.
All right, next question comes from I don't want to use one of my curse words on the username, but what's going on with NIL? Harris and the Bama boys come visit, get an offer. Everyone says Mizzou. No one said Mizzou. No one said anything other than these guys were taking a visit. It was a big deal to get them on campus. You never saw one person predict or say those guys were coming to Mizzou other than maybe fans on Twitter or a message board who got really excited about it. But absolutely no one ever said that. They got them on campus, and we told you day one, this is going to be really hard. Look at the list of schools.
Yeah. And with guys like that, like, that talented guys like that are probably going to go through the process, right? And these guys did. They went to Mizzou, they went to Notre Dame, they went to Ohio State. They may have gone to another school or two in the process of the last week or so, and they ultimately decided Ohio State. But this was something that these guys were going to go with it. And then maybe there's a benefit of Ohio State getting the last visit, right? Because they get the last say, they get to, kind of nail down.
Visit.
Did they get the first visit? So
they went Ohio State, Mizzou, Notre Dame. Yeah.
Okay. So there you go. Like, that's more to the point. Like, you knew these guys were always going to take their visits and then make the decision. So I think, again, it's a good thing that Missouri was able to get visits out of these guys, but it's hard to close against some of those blue blood all-time programs. Like, that's just, sometimes Mizzou gets them, sometimes they don't. It is what it is.
Yeah, and he's following up saying the other side had Mizzou favored. You are looking at an AI prediction on 3. I'm just going to tell you, the RPM on that other site is an AI fan-driven prediction. It is not coverage. It is not an expert thing. It is a thing that is out there to get you to do exactly what you're doing. Come on the show and say, but they said, they didn't say. It is, don't pay any attention to it. And I'm not saying it because it's on 3. I'm saying it because it's not like actual reporters and human beings.
Also, like, why are y'all paying attention to the other side? Come on now. You know better than that.
Right. Hey, if you just follow us, guys, just follow us. And guess what? Sometimes we're wrong, but we're going to pretend we're not wrong. With the DT from Oregon start for us, we talked about Tion Gray. I think there's a possibility. I see we're going to wrap this up pretty quick because we've got Drew in the chat. But I see a couple people talking about Speedy Johnson's comments of, you guys don't know what's going on. I never wanted to leave. Look, I'll just tell you, like, this would be a commercial for our site. His father came on our message board and explained the whole thing. So if you want to know, it's there. He told his side of the story. It's not like what's the antagonistic. There wasn't like a big fight, anything like that. He explained what happened. If you want to know, go read it on our site rather than reading too much into social media comments. Bill, if you want to pop Drew on the screen, we've got to do the transition. We'll do the 3-man booth for just a minute. Drew, earlier, I don't know if you were listening, but Cody said that Bo Perbula is traveling more than you this month. So
I heard that. Feel like we might be at least even by the end of the month, though. I got a couple more trips coming up here.
Yeah, Drew
I
got
think
a trip to Baton Rouge added. So
I think Drew might go to more fun college campuses, but I think Bo might go to as many college campuses over the next month as Drew does. Which, hey man, like you and Bo are basically the same person. How's it feel?
How many is he up to?
Washington, Virginia, Nebraska, Georgia Tech, Tennessee.
Virginia Tech. I think at least 5 or 6.
Oh, okay. No, he definitely has me beat then. That's crazy.
Also, no Washington slander, man. That's a good campus. That's a cool place to go.
I've never been to Montlake, but I've seen pictures and it looks beautiful. I'm gonna do that thing before I leave where I hijack the show and I ask Drew a basketball question.
Go for it.
So like hot start, miss their free throws against Ole Miss. Does the start to SEC play now like change the way that maybe we should feel about this Mizzou basketball team, or are we still kind of a little worried about these guys?
No, I think they're kind of back on track of where they were, where we had them going into the season. Like the win over Kentucky made up for like kind of the bad losses in the non-conference slate. So. I think a finish in the top half of the SEC is still on the table, but it's going to take them actually making their free throws and winning games, like being on the road at Ole Miss down the stretch.
We have breaking news. Drew can win the travel battle. Bo Perua has committed to the University of Virginia.
Oh,
hey. Look at that. Proud of him.
There you go. Yeah, one more quick football thing. I see a bunch of people asking in the chat about Corey Batoon and USC. To my knowledge, that is a social media rumor. If that changes, we will let you guys know. I have not heard it from anywhere that I think I should be concerned about it yet.
I did want to ask a coaching question, but Drew popped on, so maybe Drew can give us some of his analysis too of the coaching turnover that we've seen on the football staff so far, the comings and goings. Like what intrigues us the most, or what intrigues you guys the most, just about the way 2026 Mizzou staff currently shapes up?
It's Garrett Riley, man. Like I thought he might be Missouri's OC. And now he's, we think, the quarterback coach, maybe the pass game coordinator. I also twice on the day it happened called him Lincoln Riley. And I'm going to do that a lot. I'm going to accidentally type that USC's head coach is Missouri's quarterback coach a lot this year. So that's no good for me.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't have any strong takes personally, but it seems like a good hire. He's got a lot of experience, I guess.
Yeah, no, I like what they've done so far with the staff. Like there's clearly an emphasis on bringing in dudes that have a history of coaching up, developing, and getting good quarterback production. Like Lindsey with his history of developing some NFL quarterbacks. Garrett Riley obviously had a lot of success as the coordinator at TCU and SMU, and even a little bit at Clemson, even though I know he ultimately, they parted ways a little bit. They're bringing in another assistant quarterbacks coach in Brendan Bogner. I don't really, there's not a ton when it comes to documented history from that guy, but he worked with Chip at Troy. So there's that going for him. So, but I don't know. I like that there's going to be new, different voices in the room. And I wonder, this is something we're going to have to wait till we ask Drink about, just like, how much are you giving the keys to the offense to Chip, right? Like, obviously they're going to run the ball really well, and you want to stick to that outside zone stuff because that's what Hardy and Jamal and those guys are comfortable with. But does Chip have the keys to the rest of the car, right? Like, is he allowed to kind of do what he wants? And, is Riley, how much input is Riley going to have when it comes to the pass game overall? Like, I'm intrigued by some of that, but overall, I really like the collection of minds that are going to be in the room.
I think that was a perfect transition to basketball talk, because Drew and I never have to answer questions about what do you think about the coach. There are never hot coaching takes after Missouri basketball games. Everybody seems to be exactly on the same page there.
I think that's my cue to go read the board. I'm just going to search Gates in the little search function at the bottom of the board just to see what pops up, just to see.
Just have fun.
Yeah, put your profanity filter on. All right, Cody, appreciate you, man.
Cody, we should get you like in the game thread for like Wednesday night, and just get you to experience what it's like watching a basketball game with the rest of the board.
This is going to sound bad, but who do they play on Wednesday?
Auburn. They play Auburn at
Oh,
home.
okay. So that's an Auburn team that, I mean, obviously they were in the Final Four last year, but they seem to be in a little bit of a rebuild or a reload season this year.
Yes, that'd
Yeah,
be correct.
they
Their coach bailed
it's
right
because
before
their
the season
coach is
started.
running for political office. So
Their former coach is running for political office. Stephen Pearl is he did replace Bruce pretty well on the mic though. He seems like he's a pretty good quote. So where he I think I was reading, I think it was Nathan King who covers Auburn for 24/7, and he had like a tweet somewhere where like Stephen Pearl identified like 159 defensive mistakes over the course of a 40-minute game, and I had to like sit there and like squint and look at the tweaks. I'm like, how is that possible? Like, how do you do that?
that's a lot. Hey, our board found 159 on one possession against Ole Miss.
That'll happen. That'll happen sometimes. I can see my brain sometimes thinks in headlines, and so I'm just picturing like a Mizzou win this week, and the headline is, "Hey, Missouri beats its second consecutive, its second Final Four team from a year ago." Like that's, you want to draw clicks and draw, that's, hey,
there you go.
There you go.
That's what I'm thinking.
We'll do it. We'll do it.
I'll leave the expert hoops talk to you guys. So that's why I listen and pay the big bucks.
All right. Thanks, Cody. Have a good one, man.
See ya.
All right, Drew. Is it as bad as we think, and was it as good as we thought, or is it somewhere in between?
It's somewhere in between. I mean, I think that the win over Kentucky, really good win for you. Lost to Ole Miss, it could come back to bite you, right? But on the whole, like, you went 1-1, and that was kind of the goal going into the week. So you did your job. And I think the goal's going to be the same going into this week. Like, you got Auburn at home. That's a Auburn team that has struggled defensively, but also like just came off a huge win over Arkansas. And then you're on the road against an LSU team that hadn't won an SEC game yet, and is missing Deaton Thomas, but it's still on the road. It's going to be tough to win there. So I think that Mizzou's in a fine spot. I don't know that you feel really good about them or really bad right now.
If I had told you I don't know, 12 days ago or whatever, before SEC play started, Missouri's going to be 2-1 in its first three SEC games. Identify the loss. Where in the order would you have put Ole Miss as that loss?
In the first three games?
Yeah, like if I tell you Florida, Kentucky, Ole Miss, they're getting through that stretch at 2-1. Yeah. Which game are they losing? What would you have said?
I probably would have said Kentucky on the road. But yeah, and then second I would have said Florida at home. Yeah.
Like they won the two hard ones and lost the one, but also like Ken Pom predicted them to lose that game. You and I were texting last night about the SEC, and I said, take teams like 5 through 16 and just throw them in a hat, man. They're all the same team. I don't know on any given day.
Man, Saturday was total chaos, I think. You had a lot of teams that lost that I was not expecting to lose there. Like I was really surprised Texas A&M came out. They're one of the 2-3-0 teams right now, because they didn't look all that good in non-conference, but they've had kind of a favorable schedule and they've taken care of business. All of a sudden, they're at the top of the standings. Meanwhile, like Kentucky's 1-2. I don't think anybody predicted that to happen. Arkansas got blown out at Auburn. I don't think anybody was expecting that to happen. So. Yeah, like this is a weird time of the year, and the conference is looking a lot different than I think most people were expecting.
How many hours since Saturday night have you spent shooting free throws?
Me personally,
yeah,
0.
You personally. Well, you're not doing your part, Drew.
Yeah, I know.
You gotta be in the gym with Jaden Stone or Sean Phillips or somebody. You gotta be putting up those free throws. I mean, obviously Dennis Gates isn't making him do it, so you got to be taking him to the arc and make him do it. That's a joke, guys. He's making him do it.
I will say, like I'm not somebody who really has to practice free throw game. I beat Gerard in a free throw shootout every time we had it. So
You're a good free throw shooter.
I'm a decent free throw shooter when I lock in.
Okay. Give me like what for if we just like went to the gym and shot 100 free throws, how many do you think you'd make?
I think I'd make 75.
75? Okay.
Yeah.
Now, if you were in a Division I basketball game on the road and it was a 2-possession game in the second half, how many would you make?
0. I'm not mentally tough enough for that.
And see, that's the thing. That's where I come back to when people are talking about why don't they practice. Dude, I bet you every guy on that team in practice makes 80% of his free throws. Sean Phillips might not, but I bet the rest of them do. But like, it's different, man. You can't. It's like a kicker. I don't care how much music they play at practice and how much your teammates are yelling at you. It's different when you go out there and you know you have to make it.
Oh, 100%. And CY talked about this last year when Josh Gray was on the roster, and like Josh Gray told him, "Coach, I'm like scared to shoot free throws, right?" And it's an anxiety that kids have like since they've been in AAU and like have never gotten over the mental hurdle of like I have so much pressure on this one shot right now, and so it's not an uncommon problem to have. Like Mizzou is shooting 66.3%. That ranks 334th, which means there are teams out there, Gabe, that are shooting worse than Mizzou. There are at least 30 teams out there shooting worse than Mizzou at the free throw line. So the real
none
issue
of them are in the SEC.
Is, no, but the real issue here, Gabe, is I don't think it's something that's going to get better. So the question for Mizzou is what can you do to compensate for missing free throws? Because I think that's going to be an issue through the rest of the year.
Don't get fouled.
Maybe.
make more shots. I think it might get a little bit better.
It won't be 50% every night. Yeah.
Right. I don't think they're going to have many nights like Saturday night. But look, the key, I mean, Mark Mitchell's going to go to the line a lot. Like, we know that. But the key is, like, you got to get the right guys there. I mean, Jaden Stone, I relatively trust. Jacob Cruz, I relatively trust. Ant Robinson has to be better. Like, he has to be better at the free throw line. I don't know how that happens. But like Ant's thing is, it's exactly like his entire game. If he misses the first free throw, I don't want him getting fouled again the rest of the night. Because like I think it's going to go bad. But if he goes to the line and goes 2 for 2 his first trip, send him there all night. I think he'll shoot 80%. Yeah.
To your point, Gabe, about not getting fouled and making your shots, Mizzou's number 1 in SEC play in effective field goal percentage right now. I don't know if anybody knew that or not, but their effective field goal percentage accounts for like how much extra value the 3-point shot has. They're shooting 55.4%. That's really good. So if you can keep doing that through SEC play, you can afford to miss a couple free throws. But to your point, yes, Ant Robinson, let's see, what is he shooting? He's shooting 66% from the free throw line. That's a like career low for him. He's got to be better than that. Yeah. Sean Phillips, you can probably be better than 40%.
He's got to be better than 40, but he's not going to be good.
Yeah. Jaden Stone shooting under 70%. Like,
gotta be better.
Be better. Trent Pierce, never really been much of a free throw shooter in his career. He's 2 for 4 at the line in the past 3 games. Like, you'll take it. I mean,
and Jacob Cruz is like in the 80s, right?
Yeah, Jacob Cruz is leading. Well, no, actually, Teal Barrett's leading the team, but Jacob Cruz is 81% right now. So
yeah, Teal Barrett leading the team surprises me, but I bet he hasn't taken very many, has he?
Yeah, 11 for 13.
That's pretty good though.
Yeah, and Mark Mitchell, 69%. If it was a point higher. You say it's 70, like you'll take that from Mark, considering what his shooting form looks like. So,
Yeah.
Again, they're not going to make 12 for 24 every night. If they can get it closer to like 65%,
even 16 of 24 might have won that game.
Exactly. So we said going in, there's going to be a game where the free throws cost them. That was one of them. The goal has to be not to let it happen again.
For sure. I thought Scott Pitts had a super chat. Let's get that up because I think it's a good question. What's going on with the bench play? Cruz, Barrett, Mack, so hot and cold. So, like, right now, like, Trent Pierce is the bench right now, Drew. He's the whole bench. There's nothing else that you know you can count on. I mean, we talked about, and I can't believe I'm going to say this, but I guess they need Javon Porter back because, like, at least he gives you an option of, I don't know, take a shot. Maybe he'll give you something. Because at this point, tell me when I say something that you don't agree with.
Okay.
Luke Northweather's not going to contribute at this against this level of competition. T.O. Barrett is just, I never know what I'm going to get. He can have good games, but he can have games where he absolutely beats you. Trent Burns is, we got to stop the Trent Burns thing. It's, just, I'm done with the conversation. Honor Boateng, I don't really see it. And the biggest issue, like we talked about on Saturday night with this team, is Sebastian Mack was brought in to be the starting two guard, and he can't even get on the floor. That's your bench outside of Trent Pierce.
Well, you got Nick Randall. He can get you some boards, but
yeah, I thought Nick Randall was actually, like, he did what you want him to do on Saturday.
Exactly. So you laid it out, Gabe. Like, I don't disagree with anything that you just said. They need another guy who can go get a bucket for sure. Sebastian Mack was supposed to be that guy. Hadn't really shown up in the way they were hoping. And so you have to get consistency from somebody like T.O. Barrett or somebody like Honor Boateng, somebody like Sebastian Mack. I don't know if Javon Porter is the answer, but if he can come in and like start knocking down threes, that's a huge pickup for you. But we said it after the Florida game, like, if that doesn't happen, you're having to win with 6 guys every night, and that's going to be really, really hard. He's not going to play 6 guys every night. Like, T.O. Barrett, I think, is going to still get consistent minutes, but as far as the guys you trust, there's not a lot of options.
Right, because the hard part when you're the coach, and I know this is, I'm going to get you're just defending Gates. You don't hate him enough. But, like, he doesn't have anybody that he can look at and know what he's getting. Because, like, T.O. Barrett was good in the Kentucky game. He was valuable. He helped win that game. And then you put him out there against Ole Miss literally 3 days later, and you cannot even play him.
Minus 16 in 9 minutes, yeah.
Yeah, like every game, we have people on our message board saying, where's Trent Burns? Where's Trent Burns? He's 7'5". Just put him out there. He played 1 minute, and those same people are saying, well, I mean, that's Gates' fault. You can't put him out there for that minute. And they're right. It lost the game. I mean, it helped lose the game. But when you look down the bench, and we've talked about it so much, we look on the court and we go, I don't think I like this lineup. But then you look to the bench and go, well, I don't know what I would change. Like, there's just not other options there right now as they're currently playing.
Yeah. It's really different from what the team has been in the past, too. And not so much the 2022-23 team, but the first-year team, like, you could go to a Dre Golston or Noah Carter, a Trago Million, right? Last year's team, you had Caleb Grill off the bench. You had Tony Perkins. You had Jacob Cruz still. Like, this year's team, it literally is just Trent Pierce that you can really go to outside of your starting 5 and feel comfortable about what he's going to bring to the table. So it's going to take an adjustment out of Dennis, I think, to play that way consistently. But at the same time, like, you got to feel decently good about your top six. Like, I think all of those guys are playing outside of Ant Robinson is playing up to the standard that you want them to. So
that's my caveat. I feel good about the top six if Ant Robinson plays. If you get good Ant Robinson in games where they get bad Ant Robinson, they can lose to anybody in the league.
Yeah.
So let's hit two more. And this is where I was going to go. We've got a lot of questions in the chat. Is everybody just wrong about Honor Bote?
It's a good question.
We're getting there, man.
Yeah.
We're getting there.
The thing with Honor,
like, offensively, I just don't see it, man. Like, I don't know. I can't I watch that and I go, hang on, how was that a top 30 player? And how was Dennis talking about he was the best freshman he's ever coached? Like, what am I missing?
Offensively, I think back to the Kansas State scrimmage, right, where he had like 14 or 16 points, right? And he was using his size to get to the rim. He was drawing free throws.
Some jumpers.
Yeah, hit some jumpers. Hadn't really been the same guy since then. He's not comfortable shooting the three ball. He's not good enough off the drive to get to the basket on his own. And so you're kind of just relying on him for cuts and then, stand in the corner, catch the ball and swing it. And you can't really be that kind of player at this level and play significant minutes. So he's a really good rebounder, really, really good defender, but the fit hasn't been the best here so far.
Yeah. You can't play 4-on-5 offensively you can do it for a little bit, but if you're going to get the kind of minutes out of him you want, like, he's got to be a threat. And like, when he went to the line at Ole Miss, you just like, I had no thought he was going to make either one of them. I don't know, man. It's in his head, but like, there has to be something in there that we're not seeing, because this was not one person that thought he was good. Everybody thought he was a really good player. Arkansas made a serious run at him and wanted to keep him home, but we have not seen it offensively.
No. Well, and like, I've seen it. I saw it in high school too. Like, I saw him on the AAU circuit and he dropped 20 in the EYBL. Yeah. Like, I've seen him play really well, but the consistency has not been there at all.
Yeah. All right. So we're going to finish with this. And I know you hate doing predictions, so I will go first on this one.
Okay.
But they have two games before we do this show again. They host Auburn and they go to LSU. We're each going to say what the record is going to be. And here is my prediction for the week. If they win on Wednesday night, they will go 2-0. If they lose to Auburn, they will go 0-2. I don't think they go 1-1 this week. I think it's 2-0 or 0-2.
Okay. I'll be the contrarian. I'll say they go 1-1. I think that Auburn.
Any guess which one they get?
Yeah, I think Auburn can pose some problems. Like, Mizzou's still having a hard time defending the 3-point line, and Auburn's got some shooters. So I think they dropped the Auburn game. LSU hadn't been the same team without Dean Thomas. He's injured right now. So I think that they can go to LSU and take care of business there and finish 1-1 on the week.
Are we still going with 10-8? We'll get this team in?
I think so. Like, especially with the win at Kentucky, like, that's a big one. That'll end up at minimum quad 2. So, yeah, I think you feel really good. Well, never mind. It should be a quad 1. It's on the road.
It'll be a quad 1.
Yeah.
It'll be quad 1. I think Florida I think that win's going to look better and better as the season goes on.
Yep. Yeah.
I will say 10-8 gets them in, but I say to be comfortable, if you are 10-8, don't puke on yourself and lose the opener in the SEC tournament.
Right. Yeah. Puke on yourself is funny, but So I'm trying to think. They went like 7-11 in quad one games last year. So
Okay.
if he can get to 7 quad one games again this year, I think you'll be in a fine spot. But that's a tall task.
Billy, scroll through that real quick, and I want to get a general idea of how many quad one games they will have. They've played 2, because Ole Miss, even on the road, is a quad 2 game because they were like 99th in the net. Auburn is like a borderline quad 1 game. LSU's gonna, as of now, will be a quad 1 game.
Yeah.
Georgia should be a quad 1 game, could fall to quad 2. Oklahoma's a quad 2. Alabama's quad 1. South Carolina's 2. A&M's
Skip.
1 because it's on
You
the
skip
road.
Mississippi State.
I don't count them. They don't.
Oh, okay.
Mississippi State, that's a quad 2. I mean, they're not going to have nearly enough quad 1 games to win 7, I don't think.
Yeah. No, I think you're right.
I mean, they're probably only going to have, I think, I don't know, maybe 9 or 10 quad 1 games total.
Right. And they're not going to win all of those.
Exactly.
So it'll be interesting to see. I'll have to look into like how many do like bubble teams usually have, and how many like do you have to feel good about going into the tournament. That might
I
be
think
something
we are
look into.
probably 3 weeks away from really getting to the point where we need to have the conversation. Because like in 3 weeks, this team could be 6-2 or 2-6 in the SEC, right?
Yeah.
So let's get to 3 weeks from now, and then I think it's time you start going, okay, but like I just think it's also speculative and early right now that like, I think you're kind of just beating your head against a wall.
I agree.
All right, guys. Appreciate you hanging out here with us tonight. Since Billy was 5 minutes late getting here, I made him stay 8 minutes longer. Billy, that's your punishment. So I appreciate you doing it. Lots of stuff on the channel, PM and the AM every day. We're, when stuff happens in the portal, we may jump on here. If some of these big fish end up happening, we'll jump on. We'll let you know. No post-game show Wednesday night after Auburn. We've done it the last 3. We're taking off. We'll see what happens on Saturday after Baton Rouge. Join us over on Power Mizzou. 50% off goes through next Monday. Like, comment, share, subscribe, and again, get in touch with our friend James Carlton. He's Drew's insurance agent. He's my insurance agent. We can both recommend him. Great customer service. He's going to save you money. CarltonInsurance.net. Give him a call, 314-961-4800. Perfectly timed party, not a potty popper, a party popper from Drew. Good way to go out. I can't talk anymore. Time to end the show. See you next time.